leave this morning. Raf, thanks so much. Joining us now, Democratic member of the House Oversight Committee, Jared Moskowitz of Florida. Congressman, good to have you with us. You were in Israel a couple of weeks ago. You've been a strong supporter of Israel. You put up legislation on the floor that said we need to vote up or down. Do you agree that Israel has a right to exist? Talk to us about what we're seeing right now in Israel, given your experience having been over there, talking to the leadership, these pauses that are allowing some of the hostages to be released, with many more, too many still there. Is this the way forward, just extending the pauses until you can get as many people back as possible?
Yeah, and thanks for the question. That's exactly right. And I think President Biden has shown how this works, right? I mean, the idea is that Israel needs the ability to eliminate Hamas. They need the ability to eliminate Hamas, not just for Israelis, but they need to do that for Palestinians. It's very clear that Hamas didn't just take Israelis hostage, but they're holding Palestinians hostage by using them as human shields in order to sell that propaganda around the world. They want, unfortunately, more Palestinians to die so they can feed that over social media. So I think the fact that we're prioritizing the hostages, getting them home, seeing these reunifications is definitely the path forward. But make no mistake about it, at some point in time, right, we're going to either run out of hostages or it's clear Hamas doesn't know where they are. And we're going to go back to how this started, because Gaza cannot continue with Hamas in control.
So, Congressman, as you look at this problem, we're hearing from the president again yesterday saying very clearly we will not stop until all of the hostages have been returned to Israel. On the other hand, he has issued warnings, mostly private, but some publicly now, to say to Israel, be careful with the way you prosecute the war. And he said, the president, don't give Hamas what it wants, which is scenes of civilians being killed by Israeli bombs. Do you share some of those concerns about the way Israel is prosecuting the war?
Well, I agree that Israel has lost the information war, but some of that has nothing to do with how Israel is prosecuting the war. It has to do with that there's a double standard when it comes to Israel. And Hamas has built a propaganda machine. I mean, if you look at the algorithms with China and Russia, I mean, it's just clear that, unfortunately, Israel's enemies and the United States' enemies is feeding this stuff to our kids. You see these people ripping down posters in cities all across America of the hostages. And what you hear them say is these people are not real, right? Because the information that they've been fed is that the hostage thing is false. And so the president is giving Israel good advice, which is, look, whatever the reason it is, this is the terms, right? And so he's trying to tell Israel to be smarter and not give Hamas those things. But Willie, Hamas is going to manufacture them anyway. I mean, we saw images of people being released from prison yesterday from Israel, people who had committed crimes. They got released from prison. They were totally fine. And then all of a sudden they get over to Gaza and there's videos of them all bandaged, okay, that their arms were broken, that they were tortured. It's all fake. And so, look, that's something that we're going to have to deal with in social media platforms where truth is very difficult because we've removed the referees from these platforms.
And we will say again that Hamas is hiding behind the civilians, attracting
no question
the bombs from Israel that are killing civilians as well. I want to ask you about a domestic political matter, something you're involved in, Congressman. Hunter Biden has agreed to testify publicly in front of the Republican-led House Oversight Committee on December 13th instead of in a closed-door deposition. That's according to a letter sent by Hunter Biden's attorneys to the committee yesterday. The president's son initially had been subpoenaed to testify before the committee behind closed doors. Committee Chair, Republican Congressman James Comer of Kentucky, responded by stating the committee will first want to question Hunter Biden in private, then leaving open the option of his appearing in a public setting at a later date. So also joining us now is Congressman Dan Goldman of New York, Democrat, also sits on the House Oversight Committee. So, Congressman Goldman, I will start with you then. This looks a lot to us. We've been discussing this morning like Hunter Biden calling the bluff of the leadership of the House Oversight Committee, saying, I'm happy to tell you everything I know, but I'm not going to let you manipulate what I say by doing it in closed doors. Do you think he'll get the chance to speak out to the public and in front of the wider committee?
Well, let's take a step back. The last gasp play here by Chairman Comer as part of this completely failed investigation was to send subpoenas to Hunter Biden and all of the Biden family members, including grandchildren and daughters-in-law and widows of Beau Biden. In reality, what they wanted was for the Biden family to refuse to come in. And then they could argue, oh, well, there's obstruction of justice, and because there are all these allegations out there and they refuse to answer them, then you American people must accept the allegations. So the fact that Hunter Biden is willing to testify at all is calling their bluff and is eliminating this last-ditch effort to try to salvage this investigation. He then took it a step further. And I think very correctly, because I've been in these closed-door transcribed interviews where Republicans come out and completely misrepresent the testimony of the witnesses, cherry-pick it, mislead, provide disinformation to somehow support their completely baseless allegations. And Hunter Biden is saying, I'm not going to be subject to your control over my testimony. I'm willing to do it. I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to answer all your questions, but I'm just going to do it so that the American people can see for themselves what I have to say. And it is baffling, Willie, that the Republicans are saying no. They don't want the American people to see what Hunter Biden has to say because they know that it will be the final nail in the coffin to this pathetic, failed investigation.
So, Congressman Moskowitz, off of what Congressman Goldman just pointed out, if Hunter Biden says, look, I'm on record now as saying I will come before the committee and answer any question you ask under oath, any question at all, I'll answer it. The committee obviously says, no, you have to come in. We want to take a deposition in private. What happens? What would the next step be if Hunter Biden ignores the subpoena to come into a deposition privately?
Well, I would argue that he's not ignoring the subpoena. In fact, he's complying with the subpoena by coming. It's going to be very hard for them to try to hold him in contempt when he's saying, I'm going to comply with the subpoena. And Representative Goldman's exactly right. They totally expected Hunter to say that I'm not going to participate in the charade of hearings because, as we've seen for a year now, the Republicans have presented no evidence. But instead, Hunter has said, no, if you're going to come at me in the news media for the last year and say all of these things, I'm going to come and I'm going to get the truth out there. And now Republicans are scrambling because I think the American people want to hear from Hunter Biden. The American people want to see it in public. Republicans saying, oh no, transparency, bad. If they had the evidence, if they had overwhelming evidence on Hunter Biden, rest assured Chairman Clouseau would have a public hearing with every media you could imagine. I mean, he'd be sitting down with Al Jazeera to tell them all of the overwhelming evidence he had on Hunter Biden in a public setting. He would love that, but the reason they don't want that to happen is because they don't have the evidence. They just want to talk to their echo chamber. The chairman just wants to run to Sean Hannity like a wet blanket, and they wanted to say Hunter Biden, Hunter Biden, Hunter Biden. If you have the evidence, show it to the American people in a public hearing.
Congressman Goldman wanted to end by speaking about one of your colleagues, Congressman Santos. You have been an outspoken critic of the rookie Republican lawmaker who is facing an expulsion vote this week, could be in a matter of days. He has survived previous efforts to oust him, but this one seems, thanks to Congressman Garcia's privilege resolution yesterday, this is going to happen again. Can you tell us right now, do you have a sense as to whether there are enough votes to kick George Santos out of Congress?
Well, it's pretty remarkable that that's even a question. Any objective American who looks at the facts of this case, who looks at the admissions of George Santos himself about all the lies and deceit that he used to win his election, and then you look at that Ethics Committee report where it is devastating detail. It includes devastating detail of many, many ways in which George Santos not only violated campaign finance rules and laws, which I fully expected when I filed the ethics complaint in January, but what I didn't expect is it goes much further to show that he actually just simply stole money from his campaign account for his own personal use on luxury items, Botox, porn sites, you name it. And if any objective American were to look at this facts of this case, I am certain every single reasonable American would conclude that George Santos does not belong in the halls of Congress. He should not be voting on federal legislation. He should not be the deciding vote to make Kevin McCarthy the speaker, and he should not see classified information. The sad reality is I can't tell you right now that the House Republicans agree with that. They have been protecting him for 11 months. They have been keeping him in Congress to preserve their very slim majority because their political power is more important to them than the integrity of this institution. And so I wish I could stand here and tell you, of course, when this expulsion vote comes up and the resolution that Congressman Garcia and I filed yesterday guarantees that we are going to have to take a vote on this week, when it comes up, of course he will be expelled because the conduct is so egregious, but I can't tell you that right now. We don't know.
All right, Democratic members of the House Oversight Committee, Congressman Dan Goldman and Jared Moskowitz, thank you both. You both have your hands full there in Congress. We appreciate it.